What up, what up? This is Finance, Fitness, and Folk. Channel will discuss finance, a little bit of fitness, talk about some folk. So today's episode, I'm going to discuss why people get married just to divorce. So admin notes, thanks again to all the subscribe to the channel. I endeavor to keep pushing the video out, give you leverage to better yourselves. So it's going to be kind of a hot topic to a certain degree, so I want to get into before the sun goes down. All right, so let's get into it. So why do I say that people get married just to divorce? So I then researched the statistical data when it comes to divorce rates in America right now. I had done it a while back, actually almost about a year now ago. And when I did research it, I researched it in the Black community. Because to be quite honest, I'm not even gonna front, like nothing against any other ethnic group, but Black folks really are folks I'm concerned about when it comes to certain things like this, because I see that divorce rates amongst us is a lot higher, and I didn't even have to look at statistics to even see that. Or you can look at it from a point of view that a lot of us don't get married in the first place, right? So like I said, I don't have recent statistical data to back up what I'm saying right now. But I mean, I can look on social media, I can look at some of the trends and see how things are going. And the way that things are going right now is really not going very well for us in the Black community when it comes to marriage. It literally seems like folks get married now just to divorce later. And there's so many small things that happen in the community that makes us get divorced. It's almost like I almost feel like folks are just really they see marriage as like a trend or like some type of fad, and they don't really take their vows seriously when it comes to a lot of things, and it's just a real sad situation, because when you go back about 50 years in the Black community, maybe a little bit further than that, but I would say roughly about 50 years ago, you'll see that that a lot of Black families were married Black families, right? You had the husband and the wife there, and you had the kids, and it was a very strong foundation there, and there's so many reasons why folks can and would get divorced. I know one of the main things is infidelity. So I totally understand that. I know a lot of women out there, whether it be in the Black community or any community at all, they cannot handle infidelity in a marriage. And quite honestly, I think the statistics actually said, if I'm not mistaken, when I read up on it about a year ago, communication and finances were the two main things that were the big key to the Black community when it comes to divorce. But I'm pretty sure infidelity is one of those reasons as well. And I'm not saying for women or men to condone their spouse cheating on them. I'm not saying that at all. Only thing I'm doing is speaking facts of how things were back in the day. And let's face it. I'm 46. I don't know too much about my great grandparents, or even my grandparents as a whole. I only had two grandparents that were left when I was born. My grandmother, my dad's side was already deceased, and my grandfather on my mom's side was already deceased. And I really didn't meet my granddad on my father's side until I was a teenager. So I wasn't raised by them. I wasn't raised around them, right? And of course, my great grandparents were gone. So you figured that my great grandparents were they were living in like the 1920s or 30s, things of that nature. And there's so many stories, and I'm pretty sure that folks my age and the folks that are older than me, about granddad was a Rolling Stone, Papa was a Rolling Stone, and he had kids up the street and down the block and in another state and another city, all them things, but folks still stay together, And like I said, I'm not condoning infidelity or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, marriage was more of a commitment. It was more of a rock solid foundation when it came to those type of things. Because at the end of the day, even though Papa was rolling around there, doing his thing, he did not want to leave his wife. Now I'm pretty sure there was I'm pretty sure there was some situations where the wife did leave the husband because of that, but I don't think that was a norm when it came to those things back in the day, So fast forward to the present. I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why, you know, people get divorced in the black community. But I really think that at the end of the day, a lot of marriages now is just for show. And there's so many small things that make black folks in the black community get divorced now. And it's crazy. And I think social media has played a huge part in that. You know, I think feminism has played a huge part in that. You know, no disrespect to any women out there that believe in feminism, but I really believe that that's one of the reasons why divorce is so high in our community. And one thing I will say is, and I thought about this the other day, you know what really set things off and really exposed a lot of marriages? The pandemic of 2020. Because I'm pretty sure there was a lot of marriages out there in the black community that was on pins and needles. They were already, like, you know, dysfunctional. And the only thing that was holding those families together, or couples together, was the fact that both of them may have worked, and you know, they weren't around each other all the time, right? But you know, the pandemic hit, and of course, folks had to sit down. They had to stay home. And you know, I'm seeing my wife every day. I'm seeing my husband every single day. I'm just paraphrasing. And you know, one thing led to another, and you know, they're like, well, I really don't like you. You know what I'm saying? You know, the husband might have said it to the wife might have said it to the husband, and then before you know, within a couple of months, they divorced. You know what I'm saying? Because they finally realized, after them sitting down and actually talking to each other, they really don't like each other. Now, how they got married in the first place, I don't know. You know, it could have been a financial situation. It could have been that they really loved each other, and over time, you know, either one of the parties or both parties didn't take the time to nurture that marriage and keep the marriage fresh, keep the marriage stable, and have good communication. You know, and that's a really big thing in the black community. We don't communicate. And there's I don't want to get back into the masculinity thing, because I know a lot of folks are going to try to get me on that one, but I really think that the masculinity part plays a huge part too. I really do, but I'm not going to harp on that, right? Let me give you a scenario, a real scenario that happened with me. I always try to relate things to myself to a certain degree, because I want to give folks perspective on a lot of topics that I talk about. So of course, everybody knows I was in the military, right? And this year makes 20 years I've been married to my wife, and 14 out of the 20 we were married, right? I was in the military, right? So what I'm saying is, by the time I got married, I already had 6 years in the Army, and I retired at 20. So that means that 14 years out of the 20 that we were married, I was in the military, right? And I'm not sure if I said this on a video before, but 3 out of the 14 years. No, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me think. Hold on. Let me get this right. So, actually, hold on. Let me retract that. So, I was going to say a number, but now I think about it, the number is actually different. So 3 years out of the 14, I was not physically in the same household as my wife, and that was due to deployments and due to schools and some other factors. And you know, I know some folks in the military that's watching this video is like, how in the world was it possible for you to be separated from your wife for 3 years straight consecutively? It happened. You know, it was no fault of mine. It was military stuff, you know. And I kind of fought to try not let that happen. And it's not that I didn't see my wife during those 3 years. I did see her and my kids, but we wasn't physically in the same household for 3 years, right? But as I'm thinking about this, to put another number out there, so we were not physically in the same household for 3 years, and we actually were separated at some point over a 7-year span out of the 14. So that's a lot of time to be away from your spouse, you know. And you know, she knew what she was signing up for when she married me, right? So, you know, kudos to her. I love my wife to death, and she really held things down when I was gone. But you know, you got folks that have never been separated from their spouse at all. So you have plenty of time to nurture that marriage. You have plenty of time to get communication right. You got plenty of time to get the finances right. You know, you got plenty of time to get the intimacy right. And there was breakage in our marriage, in no fault of ours, where we was physically separated from each other. So that means when we got back together, guess what we had to do? almost start things all over again to a certain degree, you know, because she was handling things while I was gone. I come back, I try to reintegrate myself, then I'm gone again. Cycles happen all over again. I leave, and I come back. And, you know, at one point, that was a pretty stressful thing in our marriage. You know, a lot of marriages in the military don't survive. They just don't, you know. So I'm blessed to have a marriage that survived. But I'm giving that backdrop to let the Black community know that, you know, that I was, you know, I'm giving you an example of how mine stayed intact, even though I was separated for so long from my spouse. And y'all never even been gone a couple of days from each other, and y'all getting divorced. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I told my wife this the other day, you know what I'm saying? I said, you know, I love you to death, sweetie, and, you know, there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. But, you know, understand that, you know, that our marriage, it transcends love. You know what I'm saying? There's a dedication that I had to my wife that is unparalleled. And, you know, there's really nothing that can happen for me to say that I'm going to get divorced from my wife, right? So this all to say is that, you know, I really think that folks really get married nowadays to get divorced, and there could be a couple of factors that goes into that. So I know some folks going to probably go in the comments and put those factors out there. So I'm ready to see them, right? So drop your comments and let me know the reason why divorce is so high in the Black community right now. All right. So hold on a second, y'all. Okay, Ava, I'll be in a minute. Okay, hold on. It's my daughter. She's knocking on the window trying to get my attention. But anyways, if you want me to talk about a topic or a subject that would be beneficial to the channel yourself, email me at findingfitnessandfolk@gmail.com. My email address in the description below. So I want to see the comments because I want to know your opinion as far as why you think that marriage is almost obsolete and divorce is so high in the Black community. Finding Fitness and Folk, Triple F, I'm gone.